Alright, today we're on the Ride1UP Limited. This is a 48 volt 750 watt motor with a 14 amp hour battery. It is a very budget friendly bike with some really nice components. Now they get you down on the price with having you assemble a lot of this bike. As you'll see in my assembly video, there's a lot to put this bike together, but it's pretty simple and pretty straightforward. I'll explain all of that next after we go over the bike a little bit. I went with the midnight gray color. They also have a sandstone color, which is more of a like tan color. And they do have step through and high step frames, which of course I got the high step. It's more of a mid step. It's not super high. As you can see, the frame kind of slants down like that. Ride1UP offers a bunch of different bikes in really good price ranges. This one right now on their website is listed at $15.95, which is $300 off the retail price of $18.95. I'm not sure if that's their standard price or if it's lower because of Black Friday. It is that time of the year. Now I do have a padded seat cover on this. I decided to get one of these since I test so many different bikes. Instead of swapping seats, I can just pull that off and put it on a different bike. It has really nice WTB groovy tires, which are great street tires. A lot of tread. They're gonna last you a really long time, and like I said, this bike has great quality components, and for the price you really can't beat it. It's got a 750 watt motor in the back, which has 100 Newton meters of torque, which is great for climbing hills. If you're looking for a hill climber, a bike to ride on the street, to commute, this is probably the bike for you. It has 180 millimeter rotors on the front and the back. Tetro hydraulic brakes, which are really nice. They work amazingly. Super good stopping power. Really cool. The bike was extremely well packaged, and you'll see that in my unboxing portion of this video. But there's absolutely no damage to the frame. They had styrofoam and cardboard and all kinds of stuff just protecting it, which is really nice. So absolutely no scratches. It looks brand new, no problems at all. It does have a mount here for a water bottle or a lock or something to that effect. And you can also get a rear rack for this bike. They do sell them on their website. They have all the mounting points for that. And they also have fenders, which also have mounting points on the front and back. So both of those you can purchase separately. It does not come with them. And that's really the only drawback to this bike, is it doesn't come with all the extra stuff that you would get with other bikes in this price range. However, it has way better components. It's probably going to last you a little bit longer, just because of the quality of the bike and how good the components are that they put on here. Now it does have a pretty small battery. It's only 14 amp hours. We'll test range one day and see how well it actually does. I believe it has Samsung or LG cells in the battery, which is great, and quality, which will probably outlast other 14 amp hour batteries with cheap generic batteries in them. Now this has a torque sensor, which this is my first regular bike that has a torque sensor. I did have an e-moped, which was a wrong application for that, but this bike has a torque sensor. It works extremely well. I think I really enjoy it, just the short time that I've ridden it. And I'm going to be doing a lot more riding with this bike. I actually think I'm going to keep it and put some miles on it, because it is a bike that I would feel like I could get a lot of exercise on. Cadence sensors are nice for certain bikes, but I think a torque sensor really works well with this application. And I think that everything component wise and the way it's set up is extremely well thought out and put together. This is my first time on a torque sensor bike. Today we're on the Ride1UP Limited. This has a 48 volt 750 watt motor with 100 Newton meters of torque, so it should be able to climb hills pretty well. We will test that in a future video, but today we are going on a short ride because it is currently like 42 degrees out Fahrenheit. As you can tell, I got gloves on. Woo! That's cold. Now it states on their website this gets a top speed of 28 miles an hour, which we'll test with the GPS in the next video. According to their speedometer, we hit 29 miles an hour according to their speedometer. We're not going to be doing much of that today. I gotta wait to get my face thing in. The brakes work really good. They're hydraulic. The display is really nice. It's colored. It's simple, easy to see in bright daylight, even though it's not super bright right now, but you can definitely tell that this is going to be a easy screen to see, no matter if it's really bright outside or if it's dark, because the display does light up as well. Now we can go through the different menus here. It says we did a 31.5 max speed. I don't know if that's actually true. It does have a voltage gauge with a battery indicator, so it has both of what a lot of bikes have. This little display has a ton of information. It tells you how many watts you're using, watts of power from pedaling, which is nice. It's got some really nice street tires. They're WTB, well-known tire brand. They seem to be working very well. Hardly any road noise. Perfect street tires. Now, it's been a while since I've made an e-bike video, so I'm a little rusty. I've got a lot of personal things going on that I probably won't mention here. But let's just say my wife had surgery. Everything's good. But she's recovering this weekend, and kind of been dealing with that the last few weeks, so I haven't been in the mental state of making videos, but today was a day that I could actually go out and get out of the house and do a little riding. Now it looks like the tire's a little low. I need to pump it up some. Now it is actually kind of cold out, so I am going to be doing a video all about my winter gear and what I wear when I go out in cold weather. I have a bunch of different bike accessories for that. We're going to park over here in the sun and we're going to talk about the bike a little bit. I'm going to show you everything it's got. And then we'll go for another short ride around the neighborhood. Now they have very minimal branding, so they only have one logo right here, which is Ride1UP. And then they have the little badge in the front, which is really cool. It does say it is a class 3 e-bike. This bike can go up to 28 miles an hour without doing any unlocking. It comes from the factory like that. Let's get up here into the front. We do have a front headlight. We do have suspension. This is really good suspension, not some of that cheap stuff that you see on other bikes. This has a lockout. As you can see, here's your knob for that. And then it also has a air suspension. Now I saw some other reviews that had no idea how these forks work, but I'm going to explain it to you just so you know. But this actually has a valve on it that you pump up, and the ratings are over here to tell you how much you should pump it up by your weight. So I weigh over 200 pounds. I should put 100 psi into the fork, so I will be doing that before we go on a really long ride and get the suspension nice and firm as it states. So these are really nice. You do actually take this knob off. Don't lose it because you don't want it to get wet inside, but just unscrew it, and then you put like an air pump onto the valve just like you do on your tires and pump this up. And like I said, your ratings are all listed right here. It is a little tricky to put together. It's a lot different than putting a standard e-bike together. If you're afraid of that, you do have the ability to take it to a bike shop and having them assemble it as well. But if you watch my video, it's pretty straightforward. Not a lot to it. You just gotta really pay attention to what you're doing. You have to put these rings on the top cap, slide the forks in. All these rings are on the forks when you get it, and you just gotta slide them off, so you need to know which ones to slide off and then put back on. I'll show you that. It does have a thumb throttle here, which works on all PAS levels, even 0. So as you can hear there, oh, it's rubbing on the curb. That's not the bike. Thumb throttle on the left side, thumb shifter on the right side. I really like this application. I think it works really well, easy to use. You push this way to go down gears, and you pull on the other side to go back up gears. So if you go down, you push in like that, and then you go like that on the other side to go up. I've always liked the thumb shifters. I think they're just easier to use. It's got some pretty nice ergonomic grips. They're rubber, they're pretty soft, but I'm wearing gloves, so I can't really tell you what it feels like whenever you have bare hands, but they seem pretty comfortable to me right now. It does have Tektro hydraulic brakes, which is super nice, really good components. They're extremely tuned well, they work really well. I really like them. And the last thing up here on the dash is the display. The display is colored. It has all the information you could possibly want on this little display, and I really like it. I think it's a nice feature. Out of the way, simple, gives you a lot more room on your handlebars to mount stuff. So you can go up to your PAS levels just by pushing the plus and minus. There are only 3 PAS levels. I don't know if you can change those settings or not. We'll have to dig in there in the next video, but it tells you your max speed. You can go through here, it'll tell you your average speed, how much time the bike's been on, your odometer, so that's pretty cool. It's got your trip over here, your voltage gauge up here, so it'll tell you how many volts are left on the battery, as well as giving you an indicator of the battery percentage right here on the little battery icon. It tells you your miles per hour, of course, and then it has how many watts of power you're using when you're riding the bike. So we're not going to use very many watts of power today since it is so damn cold outside. It is becoming winter. It's not winter yet, it's still fall, but 39 degrees Fahrenheit today. It's the warmest part of the day too, so I waited until 3 o'clock to go out just so I wasn't totally freezing, but I got a couple layers on and gloves. And so I'm going to be doing another video all about my winter gear here in the near future before it gets really cold. So you can see everything that I use whenever I go out on bike rides during the cold weather. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully you guys like this bike. I think it's pretty sweet. I'm going to put a lot of miles on it just because it's a bike made for riding on the street. I do a lot of street riding. I like the WTB street tires. The really nice suspension that I haven't really got to try out yet. Does have a front headlight, no tail light. I don't know if it comes with a tail light if you get the rear rack. I will put an annotation on the video if it does. However, you know, there's many options to make yourself seen out there. But that's the Ride1UP Limited. If you have any questions, again, leave them down in the comments. On to the assembly. Now this is where we unbox everything. We take the bike out of the box, we get all the styrofoam off, all the zip ties, we unbox all the little boxes that have all the parts in it, like the pedals, the manual, the skier for the front hub, the tool to install the crank, and all kinds of stuff. So you do have to put this bike together, like I've said. There is a little bit more to it than your standard bike. But the main thing and the hardest part for you guys is going to be installing this fork And what you'll want to do is pull off all of these rings in order and then set them down beside you in order so you know which order to put them back on. So after you get all the rings off, you're going to slide the forks through the frame as shown in the video. Get everything lined up properly, and then you'll put each of those rings back on in the order that you remove them from the fork. So this cap right here is the top cap for the frame. And then we install the spacers, and then we unwrap the handlebars, get all the styrofoam off that, and then we take the bike stem, place it on the stereo tube, tighten it down, put the top cap on that, and then you're good to go. After you have everything lined up, you can now loosen the 4 bolts on the stem clamp. This will allow you to rotate your handlebars into the right position. Of course, you can tweak everything once you get the bike on the road, but try to get it in your preferred stance now. When installing the front wheel, I did have to spread the forks to get it installed, just by pulling them apart a bit. It might be easier to tackle this by flipping the bike around, but I'm stubborn and this is how I install all of my front wheels. If I were you, I would flip the bike upside down, use some of the packing foam to protect the screen and handlebars that you got from the bike packaging, and go to town. After you get the wheel on there though, you'll need to install the quick release skewer. This part is pretty easy. Just install the skewer through the fork and the hub. You should have 2 cone-shaped springs, and you'll install 1 on each side of the forks. The smaller ends point towards the forks. The quick release lever will be on one side and a bolt on the other. You just screw those together and then clamp it down until it's tight. This secures the front wheel onto the forks by clamping it down. The quick release skewer is handy to have because you can easily remove the front wheel for transport and to reduce weight. Installing the light might have been the hardest part for me. I know, seems kind of weird, but it was. I needed some T-shaped Allen hex head wrenches for this job, so I just improvised and used the crescent wrench. After I figured this out, it was pretty smooth sailing from here, and feel free to steal my idea. You would think this part would be the trickiest, but it's not. Just follow these instructions. The chain is folded nicely into a package, and all you need to do is cut it open and it should fall freely. Then you'll grab the chain ring like so, pull it with your right hand and push the derailleur down with your left, and then just wiggle it in place. After you get everything attached, let go of the derailleur and it should stay in place. From here, you'll take the 2 bolts that are provided in the same package the chain was wrapped in. You'll have 1 chain ring bolt, which is the bigger of the 2 that you will attach first. You screw this one on in the opposite direction and get it hand tight. Then use the crank puller tool provided by Ride1UP to tighten the chain ring bolt. I didn't have a 16mm spanner, but I did have a big enough socket that would work. Either way, tighten it down. You can even use an adjustable wrench. Once that is tight, put the crank on in the opposite direction of the other one that's already installed on the other side of the bike. Secure it down with the second bolt, and then you're ready to go. Finally, we'll install the pedals. Remember, install the left one by rotating it in the opposite direction, so lefty-tighty for that one. Charge your battery, air up your tires, and adjust your seat. Then you'll be ready to take it out for a ride. We're going to go out and test the torque sensor. As you put more power into this bike, it gives you more power, so the harder you pedal, the faster, more torque you'll get out of this bike, which is really nice. I kind of like that. I haven't ridden a bike like this. I have ridden bikes with torque sensors, but not a regular bike like this. So far, I really enjoy it. I haven't done a lot of riding, so I don't have a lot of comments on it yet, but see, I'm not pedaling super hard. I'm in PAS3 and I'm only doing 15 miles an hour. Now if I want to go faster, I just pedal harder. So far this thing is smooth, comfortable, feels like it's very well put together. No noise or anything from the components. It's just super quiet. I really like the street tires. They definitely help with reducing the noise. If you got those knobbies on here, it's always super loud. I prefer not to be super loud, although I do like the sound of them, don't get me wrong. But here we go, we're pedaling harder to get up this hill. See how that does. Pretty good. And once I find another flat surface here, like right here, here's a flat surface. We're gonna try throttle only. Oh, that's not really that flat, is it? Let's see what throttle only gets us up to. Does it get us up to 28? Oh, it looks like it will. Oh, it cut out at 23. Yeah, once you hit 23 miles an hour, it completely cuts out. But that's going to be all the riding I'm doing today. I apologize, it's a little too cold for me to be out here right now without something on my face. If you guys like this video, please leave a comment down below and let me know what you liked. Go hit that like button, it really does help out the algorithm. If you haven't already, go hit that subscribe button. There will be more videos about the Ride1UP coming up in the near future, as well as many other e-bikes. As I say in every video, I have more e-bikes on the way, so stay tuned and subscribe so you can see what my collection is going to be growing into. But that'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.